Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rookie Pastors Podcast, Ep.1. My name is Dustin Slayton. I'll be hosting today, and I'm joined today by some good friends of mine, fellow pastors, Brian Colley, Kyle Neiman, and Josh Prince. And we'll all introduce ourselves here in a moment. But guys, how are y'all doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Good. Good deal.
We're doing good. Looking at Kyle's 1995 stereo setup back there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kyle, looks like you've been recording your latest heavy metal album.
So if we turn those speakers on their back, how high can you make a screw jump?
Pretty high, actually. Yeah. No, it's actually an experimental rock project I'm working on. You guys wouldn't understand. No, it's way above you.
Too complex for you.
Oh, that's funny. Well, guys, I know this is something we've been talking about for a while and praying about. We met last week just to kind of go over, kind of what we hope for this podcast and the reason behind doing this podcast. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But before we get going in this, as we get going in this first episode, we want to just kind of let people know who we are while we're doing this. And so let's just kind of go around the room, so to speak, and introduce ourselves to the whoever is listening, that one guy out there who's listening to this episode. And let's just start with personal introductions. Tell us about your family, maybe a brief testimony, education, why you guys like losing baseball teams, things like that.
I believe we are the World Series champion Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
As of recording of this podcast.
How many times? I'm trying to remember.
It's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Flags fly forever.
Talking a big game, like it has a storied history of success of the Astros.
2 is more than 1, right? Well, Brian, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Brian Colley. I'm the pastor at First Baptist Church Mason, Texas, out in the northern part of the Hill Country. Small town, relatively good-sized church, and we've been here 3.5, 4 years. My wife and I, Mandy, we've been married for 20 years. We celebrated 20 years a couple weeks ago. We have a daughter, Annalise, who's a senior in high school. She's called to the ministry as well, which is kind of cool to be a dad of a daughter that feels called to do ministry. And then I have a 14-year-old freshman daughter named Brinley, whose dream is to be the next Caitlin Clark. So we're just going to let her explore that as best she can. Just a little bit about my testimony. I'm a Texas Tech Red Raider. Graduated from there a long time ago, 2002. I have a master's from Southwestern Theological Seminary there in Fort Worth, and was saved when I was young. My dad was a pastor. He ended up having to get out of the ministry for various reasons. I was saved at a vacation Bible school by Dr. Criswell at First Baptist, and then really began to cultivate my relationship with the Lord when I was in high school, learning what it meant to have a relationship, not just saying a prayer and raising your hand at VBS. And then was called to the ministry at 18. Originally thought it was to go into music, and then was quickly turned towards student ministry. So probably over the next 12, 15 years, 16 years, something like that, I did student ministry and college ministry with a short 4-year stint teaching school in that. And then the Lord began to say, "You've never wanted to be a pastor. Now it's time to make you a pastor." And so, like I said, we've been here since the end of January 2021. So,
very cool, very cool. And tell people what your instrument of choice is for worship ministry.
My instrument of choice is the organ.
I don't think I knew this.
You did not know that. I went on a full ride to learn how to play the organ my freshman year of college.
You need to come to my church.
And I had never played an organ before. I played the piano, and they had all this money, and they're like, "Here, we'll give it to you." And no lie, it took me. The first lesson that I had with my instructor there, I wasn't paying attention on how to turn the organ on, and it took me 6 weeks to figure it out. And I would go into and it was a one-on-one lesson every week, and she'd be like, "You've really been practicing," and I'm like, "I have," and so that didn't last, and that is not my preferred instrument of choice. It was money for school.
That's good. And saved by Dr. Criswell. I mean, that puts you on another plane, right? I mean, like,
I
you're,
know,
you're a little
like
holier than the rest of us.
I get a whole different boulevard that I'm on
That's right.
in heaven.
Yeah, that's right. Is there maybe there's a Brian Colley room at Criswell
Yeah,
Seminary, at Criswell College?
yeah.
Cool.
We wear white suits in heaven.
That's
there,
funny.
there
That
you
suit
go.
brigade. Cool. Well, hey Kyle, let us know who you are, man.
Hey, Dustin, I'll do that. Um, yeah, Kyle Neiman. I'm the least educated out of the group, so just get that out of the way. Um, uh, I graduated from UNT and with a degree in interdisciplinary art and design studies.
Oh,
Nice.
So yeah, it's a really fun thing to say, which just means I know a little bit about a lot of stuff in art. Like, so
in
it's not
art.
in art. Um, but I'm currently enrolled at BH Carroll, finishing my master's at BH Carroll Seminary, and yeah, grew up in North Texas. The reason that my education kind of was like delayed is because right out of high school, I jumped right into ministry. When I was still in high school, my lead pastor, this was at Northwood Church in Keller, Texas, um, gave me a call and just said, "Hey, we want you to come on staff with us after you graduate high school as an intern." And I ended up working at Northwood Church for 6 years before I left, become the student pastor at a church in Saginaw, Texas called Eagles View Church, and then really felt the call to vocational ministry, or sorry, and senior leadership in ministry. I didn't know what that would mean, and eventually I really felt that calling to be church revitalization and go to a church that needed to rebound. And so I'm at First Baptist Church of White Settlement, lead pastor here, and it's been just an awesome journey, fulfilling calling and doing what I know the Lord's called me to do. My personal life, been married for 14 years to Maddie, my wife, and we have 3 boys who are 9 and under. Walt, my oldest, who just loves reading books more than anything else in the world. He reads faster than we can give him books, and so it's awesome to see his imagination go. You have Silas, who's 7, just the most gentle, energetic kiddo, and then Everett, who is just a bit insane, but the most hilarious kid I know, and it reminds me a bit too much of me when I was a kid. And so my wife just kind of looks at me like, "This is your fault," and I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it
you.
is." But he is 5, and so yeah, love spending time with my family more than anything, and we have a lot of fun. So that's yeah, it's a little bit of my story.
All right, cool deal. Josh Prince, who are you, man?
I'm Josh Prince. That's all I had prepared for today. No, Josh Prince. I'm from First Baptist Church, Cedar Hill. I've been here 4 years as of August, and Cedar Hill is a south suburb of Dallas. So really excited to be at the church. We knew kind of early on in the process. I was talking with somebody about it yesterday. I probably came across pretty arrogant, and hopefully I don't consistently come across arrogant. I just knew that this is where we're supposed to be. So that's why I'm excited to share more about pastoring and revitalizing, because it's just been a really encouraging work despite the challenges that have come with it. So been here 4 years. I've been married for a while. Like 18, 16. I feel like y'all's numbers are in my head now, and so I legit
As long as it's
forgot
a
how
year
long I've been
longer
married, but I
than
got
your
married in
oldest child, you're
2009.
good.
So whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife's Jessica. She has a calling ministry, women's ministry especially. So I might have a little more education than her, but she is definitely way smarter than I am. But we have 3 kids. We're super cute family. All of us have J names. So it's Jax, Jet, Jovi, Josh, and Jess. So 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and 6-year-old. And the 6-year-old is perfect because she's my little girl. But been at Cedar Hill before that. I was in Saxe for 12 years. Before that, I was in Orange, Texas for 1 week short of a year because that's all I could do. But I was the original Saginaw guy. Kyle
That's right.
tried to come in after
Got
me,
there as
but
fast as I
they
could.
kicked him
So
out. So Yeah, exactly. So, similar to what a lot of guys do, I started in student ministry. I had a great passion for student ministry. Going from student ministry to associate level, kind of small groups and stuff like that, was actually really challenging transition for me. But it was a great opportunity. Obviously, God used that to set me up, prepare me for what He would eventually reveal to me was that I was supposed to go into pastoring. So, recognize that calling in 2019, and just over a year later was here in Cedar Hill. So it's just been really a blessing to be in ministry. But it started at an early age, raised in the church. My parents were super active. I grew up First Baptist Saginaw, gave my life to Jesus there. So
Cool deal.
that's my story.
And uh, not showing off all of your Rangers memorabilia today. Usually that's your background. So
So is that why you couldn't stand being an
So
Orange? Is
yeah,
because it was all Astro?
no, because the Astros were I
Yeah,
missed when the
yeah, it was.
Astros were
Those were good
horrible.
times.
They were just so much quieter back in the day. That
that
nobody
day,
was
that day is
around. Nobody
coming
was saying
Yeah,
soon.
we were all
"Woo"
ashamed
really
of
loud in the
ourselves
middle
back
of the
then.
stadium.
It's like there was the dark days between Nolan Ryan when he was the only glimmer of hope, and he went off to the evil Rangers. So cool deal.
He saw the light.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm Dustin Slayton. I'm pastor at First Baptist Church in Round Rock, Texas, and been here for it'll be 4 years in February. It's funny. I like to tell people the first big decision that I made when I came to our church was to cancel church on a Sunday morning because it was the time when a big giant winter storm came through Texas and we had to shut everything down. So, um, but I'm married to Melody. She's my wife, and which I guess is a good person to be married to. And we've been married for 21 years, and we've got 4 kids. Um, Preston is our oldest. He's 16. He's driving now, which is good because we have him do errands for us and take the siblings places sometimes and go pick up groceries at the grocery store. It also means our insurance has gone up a lot, but thankfully he's a good driver, and um, so he's into track. He's a really, really fast young man, and we put up his all of his medals from the last 3 years the other day, and it was just insane how many medals he's got. So he's a junior. Hopefully, he'll be maybe getting him a track scholarship or something here in the next couple of years. So looking forward to that. Addison is our next one. She's what's that?
You know what you're praying for.
Yeah, that's right.
So that we
Exactly.
know what you're praying for.
Addison is 14. She's the only girl, so she's the one that's super sweet and perfect all the time. But she's a basketball player, so that's her thing. All of ours are homeschooled, so they play with some homeschool athletic programs here in the Austin area. And so she is big time into reading, kind of like what Kyle said about one of his. And she loves reading. She's teaching herself the guitar and teaching herself piano. And she picked up my old Mac the other day and started just teaching herself GarageBand. And she's like, "Dad, I can make my voice sound perfect." And so her voice is already good. So just a little bit of tweaking. So she's an arts person. She thinks she might want to be an actress, singer kind of person whenever she gets older. So our next one is Blake.
Kyle's going to try and get her
That's
to
right.
go
She
to
can do
UNT
it.
now.
And they should come to church here and
Be the
look at
same
this
major as
studio
Kyle.
setup. She could do all her recording.
There you
Look at
go.
this.
Well, I'll hook her up. I'll let you know whenever she's ready to come. That way.
If there's the epitome of a picture of a
That-
garage
This.
band,
that's
it's
not
the
right there.
image
That's right
behind
there.
you.
Look at that.
Oh goodness. Blake is my third, and he is. God, they all run together. He's 12 right now. Yeah, that's right. He's 12 right now. They're all even. Jackson has a birthday this weekend, so he'll be odd after this one. So Blake is 12, and he is our Rangers fan. So most of us are like 60% Astros, 40% Rangers. He's the opposite, and so he's always wearing his Rangers stuff and loves it and rubbed it in our face all last season. He's a little quieter this season, but um, he loves the Rangers. He loves baseball, and right now he is playing flag football along with his younger brother Jackson. And so he is also a reader and a little bit more art minded and English kind of minded like Addison rather than math and science like Preston and then Jackson. Jackson is 10. He'll be 11 this weekend, and he is our character. He's that one where it's just kind of like, where did he get that from? And why is he saying these words and these things? Not bad words, but he is the one where every once in a while he loves to rhyme, and we'll have to go, whoa, 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 you can't rhyme with that word. Like you can't, you don't know what that means, and we're not going to tell you. You just can't say it. And so he's the one who's always getting into something, but loves video games, loves to talk about it, always telling me what new skin he got on Fortnite, and I have no clue or care. And so anyway, that's my four. I got my undergrad in theology at Ouachita Baptist University in Arkansas. I was telling the guys before we started, I didn't even know that Baptist schools existed in Texas aside from DBU and ETBU. So I went to Ouachita, and then I've got a master's, an MDiv from Southwestern, and a PhD from Southwestern. PhD just means that I was willing to do the work, not that I'm smart, and so that's the way it goes. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I've been here for 3 years. Before that, I was a campus pastor for 6 years in Tyler at Green Acres Baptist Church, and then spent 10 years in student ministry before that. And so that's kind of been my journey. Josh, I don't think you told us about your educational background. Maybe I just zoned out and kind of tuned you out.
I think you did, right?
No,
Yeah, because you talked about Texas Tech, didn't you?
that was me.
That was Brian.
That was me.
Oh, you said Josh. I'm sorry. I heard you say Brian. This is what I get for paying attention.
Yeah.
We haven't heard about the lack of leaving Dallas for education. So
That's right.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
Josh,
didn't hear Josh.
tell us about your education real quick.
I went to Bryson Elementary, then Wayside Junior High. So I went to DBU, and I just made it out. And then when I went to BH Carroll, my claim to fame on BH Carroll is my wife and I were the fastest to ever go through the program. So BH Carroll are, what do they call them? Accelerated semesters or whatever they're called, like 8-week. And so we wanted to start our family. So we got through in, I think, like 3 years. It was the fastest anybody had ever gone through. But my wife walked the stage pregnant. So
Yeah.
we got it done. That sounds bad now that I say that out loud. Anyways, so my wife just felt like she should go back to school. So she went back to Gateway to finish out, kind of increase some of her master's work, and had been encouraged by her and some others. And so I'm at New Orleans right now, going after my DMin in revitalization. So I should graduate in 2026. And my wife, we kind of going on that journey together in a way. But yeah, she gets to graduate in May with her master's, second
Very
master's.
nice. Very
cool.
So the other day she was doing homework, and she says, "Don't you have homework to do?"
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
probably should go read a book.
That's cool. Well, guys, thanks for sharing. One thing that I think is cool is just the unique perspectives. How some of you guys started out pursuing different things, and in fact, when I went to college, I was pursuing medicine for a semester, and God graciously called me out of that. I don't think anybody wanted me to be their doctor. But to see how God has brought us all to this point.
hey, Dustin, one of the things that we didn't talk about was how we all got to know each other.
Okay.
So
Well,
I think that's kind of important.
Well, tell us about it.
Tell us, Brian.
Well,
Tell us.
I wasn't going to say it. I was going to throw it to somebody like Josh or Kyle, but let's
Sure,
let Josh.
I'll jump in.
Yeah,
Since you're
yeah.
so
You go
hesitant,
ahead.
Brian.
You go ahead.
I met Dr. Slayton at at the no. All four of us were invited to participate in a church revitalization training and cohort as part of Texas Baptists, and it's called PAVE, and so it was the first real trial run of how this was going to work, this training in church revitalization concepts. And just by chance, all four of us were put in the same cohort together. There were a bunch of other guys in there as well, a bunch of great guys. But the four of us seemed to just connect really well and stay connected throughout that. And I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, it was Josh who reached out to the three of us and just said, "Hey, I want to take this just a little bit deeper, be more relational, talk about life and what's going on, and be able to have some people to lead into. Because, one of the things we'll probably cover in another episode of the podcast is, I mean, being the guy at the church is a lonely thing sometimes. And having people who know what you're going through and is on your side is so important. So, Josh, I'm appreciative of you reaching out to us, and from that, our friendship has grown. We're in a text thread together, and we're always talking about what's going on in our personal lives, in our churches, and successes in ministry, frustration in ministry, and yeah, so it led to us going, you know what, we kind of want to share this with other people.
I'm glad I could be lonely and depressed
Thank you.
enough to make
Yes,
us better
thank you for.
friends.
I'm lonely and depressed, just not enough to reach out to me.
Yeah. I was. Yeah. It was enough that week.
That's right.
It's just taking me
His
over the edge. My wife said, "Please go find some friends. Can you find anybody else to talk to?"
Yeah, it was kind of cool how that started. We were with a larger group. I think there was 8 of us, maybe 7, something like that, in that first that paid cohort that we were part of. Our leader wasn't that great, Steve, but this is really just me saying that is really just a test to see if he's going to watch this, because if he does, he'll text us. No, it was actually a great group, but it was good whenever Josh said, "Hey, the 4 of us kind of connected. Let's take this deeper." And that has really been a blessing. We're in each other's phones like every day, whether it's an encouragement thing or I need prayer, or even just something funny. And I was driving today. I hope my insurance people aren't listening. I tried to take a picture of the bumper stickers on the back of this car today and send it to you. Just like religious bumper stickers out the wazoo. And one of them was like, "It's not about a religion, it's about a relationship." And I was like, out of context, what do people think that means? And then another bumper sticker said, "Save on gas, walk with Jesus." And I don't know how to apply that. But anyway, that's one thing I love about our text group is sometimes it's just good for a laugh. So anyway, well, Brian, when we got to the point of thinking about this podcast, you were the one that kind of brought this up. You brought something up one time and said, "I wish there was just a podcast for, to help guys who have transitioned into a pastoral role or new pastors to kind of just think about and understand how to navigate the world of pastoring." And so tell us why you think this podcast is needed.
Yeah. So when I just felt like God put it on my heart one day, and probably more than one day, it was over several days, that there's just it can be lonely, as Kyle said. For all of us, we had ministry experience, quite a bit of ministry experience, and then transitioned into it, and it still is lonely. You're learning new, how to handle new situations. Like for me, I've always been around deacons, but I never had to work with deacons. Now I do. I'd always been around committees, but now I have to be a part of those committees, those type of things. Now I have to actually come up with a real sermon every week instead of, a 5-minute student ministry talk or whatever. I've had to navigate quite a bit in the 3.5 years that I've been here, and I am grateful and eternally blessed for the friendship of these 3 guys. And I just felt like God was saying, you guys have something special that you can share with the rest of the world, with other guys that are just like us. Those of you that are feeling alone, those of you that are, I don't know how to handle this, or is my life just crazy? And we just want to share with you that we've probably experienced it. We want to share our successes, our failures, our frustrations, and just have real conversations about things that we probably should have done better. And hopefully have a lot of laughs along the way. But yeah, that's just, something that's on my heart about how can we bring others into our community, and just experience a little bit of what we're experiencing.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny whenever we were talking about this the other day, the title Rookie Pastors Podcast. And even though people may be thinking, well, these guys, they've been in ministry, like I've been in ministry for 20 years. Kyle, you've been in ministry since high school. And even though you're still a young man, that's still a long time ago, right? But when it comes to pastoral ministry, we have a combined combined 13 years of experience in pastoral ministry between the four of us, and so we all feel like rookie pastors.
That's the thing, because when I first got this position, and day one is moving in my books and stuff like that, and kind of getting settled in my office, and then another part of my story is how my first week went. There was a guy who went into the hospital, and it was incredibly serious that first week. So I was thrown into the fire with pastoral ministry. But I just remember those first several weeks sitting in my office and going, what do I do? Like, what am I supposed to be doing today?
Yeah.
Like, I know I have to write a sermon. I know I have to get stuff ready for Wednesday night. I know I need to be calling people, and I know I need to do these administrative things, but I want to be moving us forward. I want to be progressing things. I mean, Pave helped a ton with this, but I still found myself just kind of starting out going, wow, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And everybody's looking to me, trusting that I have that knowledge. And so, I mean, honestly, if I had a podcast like this that I had been listening to as God was stirring in my heart before I stepped in this role, or even on day one in this role that I go and just listen to, I really think it would have been a benefit to me.
Yeah, I think we've all had, like, we all sat down, we got called to the church. We had our first Sunday, and then it's like we sit down and it's like, what do we do? And it's like, and I don't know if I can say this or not, it's a holy crap moment. What do I do? They've made me their pastor. I'm the shepherd of this church now. What do I do?
You can say it because it's holy.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
it's fine then.
But my hope is that guys that are sitting there saying, I don't know what to do, we can help them kind of navigate through that a little bit and how to do it. Maybe not well, but at least know how to do it a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's my mistake. Don't make the same one.
Well, I don't know if we just lost Kyle or not, so we're just gonna keep going. Josh, this question was going to go to Kyle, but I'll go ahead and go to you. So think about like what we hope for this podcast. We want this podcast to be for people, and what would you say to that? What do we hope people get out of this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the hope is just to encourage some guys to make sure that they recognize that they're not alone, whether it be the mistakes that they're making or just the challenges of trying to navigate all of it together. But also to provide whatever wisdom it is that the Lord gives us, whatever comes across wise, know that only came from the Lord, or through the Lord's working and maturing in our lives. So at the end of the day, this was really just us saying, man, these are the things I'm figuring out. These are the things that are challenging. As we've had those discussions together or with mentors ourselves, whatever it might be, it's kind of an outpour of that. And to say for these guys who are sensing a call to pastor or are entering into the pastorate, they can have just kind of a pool of resource here that hopefully over the next couple months and years even we can encourage some guys with.
I think that's been something that really has been the encouraging part about our conversations is I don't know how many times there's been one of you guys have jumped into the text thread with a question, or a thought or a comment or something, and it's exactly what I or somebody else has been dealing with in that same week. And we've already mentioned here a couple times how pastoral ministry can be lonely, especially if you are that kind of transitioning pastor where you've gone from youth ministry to senior pastor, moved to a new church and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden your first chair, you've always been able to kind of pass the buck on the difficult conversations, but now those difficult conversations are coming to you. And a lot of times that first church is a smaller church where maybe you have a smaller staff or part-time staff or something. And so you're kind of flying solo in a lot of ways. And the hope for this podcast is one of my hopes is that guys will understand, oh man, these are things that almost every other pastor is going through as well. That I've got a cranky deacon, or I've got a difficult chairman on some team, or we had a water leak and our water bill is 3 times more this month than it usually is. How are we going to pay for that? Just all the things that come along with being that lead, that kind of that first chair pastor.
Yeah, and the heart of it, even within the purpose that we talked about, it's real conversations, which is just the real realities. I don't think that maybe we'll get into these episodes where we're talking about dreaming and grand visions and stuff like that. But ultimately, the heart of each episode is these are just real things that you're dealing with, and these are four
Yeah.
guys who have really gone through it,
Still
or
going
are
through it. Yeah.
anticipating going through it. So let's go ahead and
Yeah.
brainstorm what we're
Yeah.
going to do in the midst of that.
And that kind of,
situation.
our vision, or if we want to call it a vision statement, because everything that's Christian has to have a vision statement and a mission statement, right? Otherwise, you're not really a church. Isn't that what the books say?
Yeah, that's it.
But we kind of like our purpose statement that we said was that it's just a casual conversation about real ministry from real pastors, and that's who we are. We're just guys who don't have all the answers. We're seeking the answers in a lot of ways, but we want to walk through that journey together and with the other guys who listen in, and hopefully hear back from them.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that all of us are in completely different church situations. Larger, smaller, bigger staff. I have no staff right now. Just that kind of stuff. I think we encompass the whole gamut of what rookie pastors are going to be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have found is that most of our experiences, while unique to us, translate to each other as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through something similar. So,
yeah.
And that's
so if you're out there and you're like, well, there's no way they're going to know exactly what I'm going through. Good chance we've probably gone through something like it.
Yeah. One of us has
that's one of
at
the
some
things,
point or another. Yeah. And so that's a good thing to point out. Well, or not, but we said earlier that the podcast is just a casual conversation about real ministry from real pastors, and that's our goal. All of us are in the trenches with you guys who are listening, our one or two listeners, and we're grateful for you. And
Thanks,
we
Mom.
want you to know,
Appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Like, follow, subscribe. We want you to know that you are appreciated and you're not alone. And even within your church, listen, the people that have complaints are a lot louder than the people that love you. And that's not how it should be, but that's how it is oftentimes. And so hold on tightly to the encouragement that you get from church members, and hold on really loosely to the criticism, and just really, consider it and pick out what's good, and then let go of the rest.
Amen.
Well, guys, any last words before we wrap this up?
I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Go
I wish I
Rangers.
had like a really big word to say right now.
Really big word. Supercalifragilistic.
Give the big benediction to end the service.
Let's join together and sing the doxology.
Oh, gracious.
We did that the other night at the Kirk Cameron was speaking at this fundraiser dinner we had for our local pregnancy resource center with like 3,000 people there. And he's like, hey guys, let's finish. I'm done, but let's finish with the doxology. And he led us in the doxology. It was actually pretty good. It was just weird having Mike Seaver lead us in the doxology. So, anyway,
showing his age there.
That's right. There's only two of us that know who Mike Seaver is, Brian.
That's right.
Yep.
So
I'm aware, but yeah,
y'all just know that he got left behind.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
Well, thanks for joining us for the first episode of the Rookie Pastors podcast. Just wanting to be a casual conversation about real ministry, about real pastors. We want to thank our sponsors, insert sponsor here, whoever wants to pay us the most. And we look forward to having another episode, which is actually all three of our first episodes are going to drop today. So if you've made it this far, then don't give up. The next one's going to be good. I won't be on it. Josh, Kyle, and Brian will, and they're going to have a good conversation for you. So if you are with us here for the first time, we'd love for you to follow us on all the different social media outlets, and share the content and help us build our audience of pastors who need encouragement, fellowship, and let's just walk this road together. So thank you for joining us today.